Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my Blacadian universe. All right, so come with me along the journey of one of my crazy theories about racism. So, I have told this to numerous people, and they've all agreed with me, and I want you to see if you're following my logic, if you're seeing what I'm putting down. Okay, so. Let's get into it. So this is my theory. Is it a conspiracy theory? I don't know. It's just a theory. It's just a theorem. It's like a scientific theorem, um, you know, that we need to do some testing to figure out. So this is it. My theory is this. Racist people suffer from what I have coined, you've heard it here first, the Dorian Gray effect. Yes. So, for those of you that are familiar with old, English, Irish literature, you'd probably are like, oh, okay. But I'm going to explain it for those of you who may not know what I'm talking about. So, there is a book. Um, it's called The Picture of Dorian Gray. I think it should be available for free. It's fairly old, and I think after a book is like 100 years, it just becomes like public domain. But anyways, the point is, go to your local library and check it out. It's excellent. It's an excellent, excellent classic read. And so The Picture of Dorian Gray, it's from like the 1890s, and it's written by Oscar Wilde, and it's basically about this guy. I won't give too many spoilers, but I'll give you enough so you know where I'm going with my theory here. And he basically sells his soul so that he stays young and beautiful forever. And then he has a picture of himself, like a portrait, and it ages. It does it like not him, but the picture ages and gets old, but it also coincides with all of these, basically the sins that he ends up committing. And so every time he commits a sin, his picture gets like more and more, you know, physically unattractive. While he himself stays, attractive and beautiful. So this is my theory. When I say that racists are suffering from the Dorian Gray effect. And so this is that you can tell by looking at someone, they wear their racistness on their face. When you carry that kind of hatred for other human beings for no reason other than existing, it leaves a mark on you. And so a lot of people have said it, in many eloquent ways, just about how it is not just the person that you're trying to oppress that's hurting. It makes you evil. It makes you ugly. It hurts you to hate so much. When we talk about, when people are talking about forgiveness of someone doing them a wrong and to let it go, I think the same should be said for racism. Let it go. Let go of this burden that you're carrying around of hatred for people that are just trying to live their life. We would never give, a clan member that advice of just being like, go to therapy, let it go, breathe through it. They're carrying this hatred and it shows up on their face. It shows up on their face. And it's, it's sort of this thing where I was like, all right, so I'll tell you the story and I'll tell you what spawned my idea. So years ago, I was working as a summer student in a corporate setting. And there was this woman and she looked mean. Okay. And she just, yeah, she just looked mean, just perpetually looking like she was about to yell at you. Just, there was something about her face. Like, another thing is, I have resting bitch face as well. I'll just get that out there right now, but there's a difference. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about someone who just looks like is radiating those bad vibes. So I don't even think it has to be like necessarily physical, but someone who's just like has this energy of avoid, run away. And so that's she's just sort of had this she wore her nasty attitude on her face, and I'll never forget. So there was another, she was a young professional. She wasn't a student, but she was so kind to me. And she, like took me under her wing. She just like really looked out for me and just made sure that I was like doing all the things that as a young go-getter student I wasn't doing, like, taking my breaks and lunches. She was just like, did you, just looking out for me, and did you take your break? Jeez, make sure you take your lunch, like take a rest, all those good things. She was just so sweet. And I just remember, she was just giving me some of that, learning the ropes of corporate, of, basically having to just protect yourself, making sure that you get everything in writing. All of the corporate people get it. And so she just was like, well, and she said her name, I won't say her name. She's like, well, does she look like a nice person? And she just sort of left it at that. And I just was like, oh, damn. And it just got my theory going, because obviously I think about racism and, how it manifests itself in the world. And I just thought there's something here. There's this Dorian Gray theory. Also, she happened to also be sort of racist, that woman. So that's why I was thinking of it too, because we were sort of talking about it in this context. And the woman who was taking me under her wing, she was actually like Indian, and so we were like the only of two people of color in the whole office. And the fact that she was like, this woman is not your ally, she is not your friend, and then she just summarized it perfectly of like, does she look like a nice person? And I was like, it just really, I just really stuck with me. And so that's my Dorian Gray theory, is that racism is in your pores. It shows up. How could it not have an effect on you? It's when we talk about things of, mental health matters, and when, you can literally make yourself sick with high blood pressure. If you're always stressed out and like hypertension and all the things, if you're not taking care of your mental, it shows up in the physical. And racism is no different. Racism is no different. And I truly think that people that are racist, they, it shows up. It shows up on them. It's like the warning sign for people that are not racist to avoid them. Okay? It's going to show up. It's going to show up on you. You cannot be this sick, for lack of a better word. You know what? Racism is a sickness. I'll be honest. I just don't understand it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so interested in it, of course, because it impacts, my lives and the people that I love, their lives. But I've also been always captivated by something that I should never could really understand. And it is a sickness, and it shows up, it manifests itself. And I think that it shows up in just making you appear, um, well, frankly, unattractive. Unattractive. There's going to be a tell. There's going to be a tell. And it may not happen at first. You might be like, oh, well, that person is still really attractive, Denise. They're, stereotypically attractive. And I'll be like, okay, give it like 5 years. Let's revisit what they look like in 5 years, Dorian Gray. It wasn't immediately. He was enjoying that pretty privilege. He was out there in society enjoying the prettiness, and people, were gravitating towards him. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, I get it. Give it some time. Give it some time and see how it goes. And so when I was, of course, raising this with my friends, we talked about, some of the people that are aging like fine wine, and, how they, if you dig a little deeper, you'll find, maybe not as you would suspect, you find that they have like a long history of being anti-racist. This was it. Julia Roberts came to the list. My friend was like, and that's why Julia Roberts looks so good, looks so fresh. And I was like, yes, not a lot of people know about her relationship with the Kings, like the King family. Just, and we were like, yeah, well, it's showing up in her skin. It's in her pores, right? Dolly Parton, okay? Another example, we were like, yeah, give it, that makes sense. We're like, yeah, yeah, lots of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So, so we were just going through like the lists of people, and we were like, yeah, they're looking good. They're looking good. And then just we're like, seems like it fits. Seems like my theorem, my hypothesis is, getting some legs. But in all seriousness, I say this, as a little bit of a joke. I do wholeheartedly believe it, though. I'm like, seriously, I'm just joking. But I'm like, no, I truly do believe it. Um, I feel like it's one of those things that you um, need to free yourself from. You need to free yourself from these kind of thoughts and um, burdens. And it's one of the things when we talk about, and on the flip side of this, it's why I think, when people are saying um, Black joy, and I was thinking, one of the things that we say about Black people in the Black community is that we always find light and make light of things that are often, honestly, so horrible that have been happening to us. And we just, find that joy wherever we can. And, I talked about just in one of the most inspirational stories of to me, when Black people were being enslaved in America, there was like some enslaver's journal, and he talked about how he didn't understand how, like, at the end of basically being his thoughts of, he didn't understand how he could hear, singing and, celebrations coming from the people that he enslaved. He just didn't understand it because he didn't understand what they had to celebrate, because, he could never, he had everything and they had nothing, and still they found joy, and he was confused by it because he was filled with hatred over these people, and they took this life and they found whatever little joy they could. And I often think it was a moment of protest so that they could hear, that enslaver could hear, we are human. Despite what you want to believe, despite what you tell yourself to make your evils okay, we are people, and we are going to be people. We are going to be human despite everything that you're doing to try to convince us and convince yourself otherwise. And that's power. That's power and it's beauty. And I think of that often. I think of that often, especially in these times when things are so hard and so difficult, that, you know, that legacy, that is in me, that's in my DNA, to find that joy, to find that spark. And that's going to be showing up in my portrait, in my soul. That joy is there, and I nurture it and encourage it. Um, and you know, I feel like it's going to be part of your mental health when you do those things. So if you're always going to choose, the negative, that is going to resonate, and that's going to eventually have that physical toll. It just is. So I'm speaking to everybody here now to um, not suffer from the Dorian Gray effect. Free yourself from, hatred. Uh, sh- be anti-racist. Find that joy, because um, it's good for your health and your skin and your skin. Let's be pretty inside and out. Beauty is 100% inside and out. So I will end on that note. Let me know what you think of my theory. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you love this episode, please share it. Share it with your friends. Tell everyone you know to check out the Blacadian podcast. And I will talk to you next time.